very important people, both as visitors and as special guests, a number of authors. We've had presidents of the United States, governors, and then even in this particular program, Black Women in Sports in the past, we've had the likes of Cynthia Cooper, we've had Lynette Woodard, we've had Dominique Dawes, the great Olympian. More recently, we've had Debbie Thomas, but this may be the greatest athlete, period, that we've ever had at the museum. And we're very honored to have her here. And personally, for me, it's exciting because I am from East St. Louis, Illinois. All right. Or as the kids used to say, East Boogie. And so we're very proud of her, and we're very excited about the connections that she brings, both from the standpoint of being able to talk about sports and talk about these issues and her own very valuable experiences. So we're glad to have you all here. A couple of housekeeping notes. This microphone will become our audience microphone. Later on, we're going to probably take a few minutes to allow you to ask our guests some questions. I'll move it to the stand here. It's important that when it's time for questions, we queue up to the microphone stand so that we can all hear your question clearly, and she can hear your question clearly and answer it appropriately. If you have mobile phones or other devices, we ask you to at least render them silent for now so that we don't have any phones ringing in the middle of the program. So we appreciate that. If you take time to do that right now. Finally, we have a number of important VIP guests here. We want to welcome them and to recognize them and introduce also our moderators and our special guests. It's time to bring to the stage our president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, Mr. Bob Kendrick.
Good evening and welcome. And thank you all so much for coming out and being a part of this. As Dr. Doswell mentioned, this is a very, very special evening for us. We're all very excited to have one of, and according to Sports Illustrated, the greatest female athlete of the 20th century. That's one thing that's exciting to have. And to have her give her time to be a part of this event is quite significant. There, as Ray mentioned, I'm not from East St. Louis, but man, I partied over on the east side. That's another life, though. I burned those photographs, so those will never surface. But Jackie and I had a great time this afternoon, talking about East St. Louis and some of the nightclubs that were over there when I was in college. But again, that's another story. This is about educating, not a part. It's about educating. And to moderate tonight's discussion, we're very excited to have them here. Our two great friends of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. Join me in welcoming from Hot 103 Jams, KPRS. You hear her daily, is Julie Jones. And my dear friend, I tell this story all the time. When she first joined Metro Sports, it was the day of the announcement of Buck O'Neill's. We all thought Buck was going to get into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, and it didn't happen. So she drew the assignment that day. It was her first day on the job, and she gets to cover this dreadful decision that left our friend Buck O'Neill out of the Hall of Fame. And just by one vote. I know the kids are too young to remember Buck. And you know, it's hard for me to even fathom that we've got young people in our community that never got to meet Buck O'Neill. And I want to say this while we have this group here tonight. The Royals continue to recognize Buck with the Buck O'Neill Legacy Seat. I encourage all of you to go online to Royals.com and nominate someone who's doing extraordinary things to help others in our community. And that's the beauty of the Legacy Seat program. Ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. Go online, nominate them to sit in Buck's seat at the Cape, cheer our Royals on. That's my long-winded way of introducing from Metro Sports, Ms. Kenitra Pulliam. And as Dr. Doswell mentioned, we've had some outstanding guests be a part of Black Women in Sports. You know, there were 3 women to play professionally in the Negro Leagues. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. Mamie Peanut Johnson, Tony Stone, Mamie Peanut Johnson, and Connie Morgan. Pioneers, women who competed with and against the men in the 1950s. And there was a female owner in the Negro Leagues, Effa Manley. the first woman to own and operate a professional baseball team. She is the first woman to be nominated and inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. So women in sports is a big part of what the story of the Negro Leagues is all about. So it's not this far stretch for us to annually, as part of Women's History Month. How many of you knew that the month of March was Women's History Month? Okay, all right. For us to recognize the contributions of African American women to the world of sports. Those contributions are varied, and those contributions are great. Our special guest tonight has made an indelible contribution to the world of sports. As I mentioned earlier, Sports Illustrated said that she was the greatest female athlete of the 20th century. Her record in the heptathlon still stands today. Yeah, and may never be broken. And we know records are meant to be broken, but this one, I think, may stand for a while to come. You know, she left East St. Louis to go play basketball at UCLA, where she led the East St. Louis high school team to an undefeated state championship, went on to play tremendous basketball at UCLA, go play overseas, and of course is an Olympic gold medalist. And so it is my esteemed pleasure to bring to you the legendary Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
You guys ready for this evening? And let's give her one more big welcome. Looking also. Now we were talking backstage about your life coming from East St. Louis to where you are now. I heard somebody here from the Lou? Right there. And I find it fascinating that we can be in the state of Missouri, any city, and somebody can go to great heights, be known national, worldwide. What was that like for you coming up East St. Louis? And how many of y'all been to East St. Louis, first of all? Okay. Can we agree it's not Overland Park, right? Okay. So what does it take to have the resilience to be successful? Because I always believe it's not about your zip code where you're from, but about what you put your mind to. Where you're from just helps you strengthen your character. Tell us about that journey for you, particularly being, down the road, I-70.
I do think a lot of it has to do with the mindset, and a lot of times as young people, we only know our own environment. And for me, it was about dreams and goals, and just really, I just wanted to make my parents proud. I got involved in athletics, and so everything that I did it in a manner of representing my family and representing myself and doing it to the best of my ability. And always knowing the things that I could accomplish with the support of others, trying to help me to get to the next level.
Now, your full first given name is Jacqueline, and you were named after Jacqueline Kennedy. Is it true that your grandmother said, this girl is going to be the first lady of something?
Yes, and she put it on the picture too. Said she would be the first lady of something, and I don't know.
What, from your grandmother to your brother, who's also an Olympian, what role did family play in your life?
Oh, family is a very important, always been and still is. And for me, my brother, my brother's the oldest, and me being the oldest girl, he would, make a basketball rim for me out of milk crates, cut the bottom out, and nail it up to the tree so I could practice shooting basketball. He taught me how to play chess, and then we got involved in track and field. My brother wasn't one that enjoyed practicing, and I did, but he believed that he could just, do well without going to practice. And he had a bad habit of really bragging about how great he was to his friends. And so we did a match race, and I beat him. And I said, that's why you go to practice. Practice pays off.
Now, growing up, what role did the Mary Brown Community Center kind of play in shaping who you are and who you became?
The Mary Brown Center, it was a community center that they built in my community, and at the time when they were building it, we didn't know exactly what the building was going to be. We were very fascinated by this dome, and we thought it was going to be a skating rink. But little did we know that it became a community center. And as a part of that community center, they had a library, and I would go in and work with the librarian, who helped me how to do check out books and book reports, as well as they had a program called Meals on Wheels. And the senior citizen, we did arts and crafts together. And then they had a dance where I would do Catherine Dunham, who was from the community. So we do Dunham technique, and then they had this dome where all the sports, badminton, ping pong, I mean, you name it, basketball. And that's how I got involved in track and field. So.
Now, you said something that stood out to me. I always like to ask people, who are your idols, who you look up to? But you said you tried to do the best you can do. So how does one, particularly our youth, create a balance in being the best they can with the gifts that they have, but yet, look to glean from somebody? Because I think a lot of times we try to imitate and be, I'm going to be the next Oprah. Well, you can't be the next Oprah, but you can be the best. You can be the best Jackie, the best Anitra. So what's the balance there?
Yeah, for me, I always stress to the young people that I work with is to, make their own imprints. And to me, study Jackie Joyner-Kersee, the person, find, the substance behind me and what I stand for could never be taken away. The gold medals and the records, yes, they're in the books today, they could be gone tomorrow. Gold medals and all that can be taken away at any given time. But my commitment to hard work and believing that I could be the best that I could be, and that's not winning, but it's knowing that I worked hard every day. And when I go out there and I do my best, because coaches and people give of their time trying to make me a better athlete than I was yesterday. So I think it's important in finding that balance with our young people is that we're all unique. We all have different gifts, but we all have the ability to work hard. And that's what I believe that's what we should be striving for, to work hard, and then whatever comes out of that will be the rewards from your hard work.
One of those rewards from your hard work was a college scholarship to UCLA. How would you describe your environment and compare East St. Louis to the glitter of LA?
Well, I'm often asked that question, but to me, I knew why I was going out to UCLA. I knew that this was the avenue that I chose to go down. And I knew that I had to really focus on my goals. I had to really focus on the things that I wanted to achieve. And you get out in LA and people like, for me, the only fast lane was when I lined up in the block trying to go early, trying to keep up with nobody else, or wasn't losing sight of who I am, and so. But that is a hard balance for some people, because sometimes you're 17, 18 years of age, you leave home and you have all this freedom. But I just knew that this is my opportunity, and I have to take advantage of this opportunity, because I didn't want it to be taken away from me. And I truly believe that I could easily lose it if I lost focus.
One of those losses that you had to endure not long after arriving at UCLA was the loss of your mother, who passed from illness. How did that impact you at such a young age?
It was that was extremely tough, because when I got ready to go off to school, I wasn't able to see my mom, and because of circumstances that was happening within our home. And so when I left to leave for UCLA, it was September, and one of the conversations my mom would always have, like, oh, I'm not gonna be homesick, I'm gonna be okay, Get all the way out there. we on the phone every night. And I'm like, oh no, I'm having a great time. Everything is good. I'm like, oh, when I hang up the phone. Because I didn't want her to worry about me, you know. And so, but when my mother passed, it was really, it was a wake-up call, because when you are a teenager and a youngster, and when your parents are, you know, showing you love and giving you advice, and we as young people have a tendency like, I don't want to hear that. Oh, mom, nobody's so strict. Well, I can't do this. And so my mom would make me read the paper to keep up with current events, to know what was going on, and I was like, why do I gotta do all this? You know. And when my mom passed away, you know, I'm 17, 18, and all I had was to reflect on the things that she was teaching me to be strong, because now I am truly on my own. I don't have my best friend where I can have a conversation, and I know whatever I share with my mom is not going to go anywhere. I have to worry about, you know, if I say something, I won't have to worry about hearing it again. That was no longer there, and so I really, you know, came home. But one of the conversations we would often have too is that we got a scholarship, you go to school. And now I had the scholarship going for me, and it was just best to go back, because I went home, wanted to go to that community center, and it had padlocks on it. And I'm like, where did the kids go? I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to reopen it, and I don't have no job. We don't even have a place to live. So, you know, but I got a dorm, and I got free scholarship. I can get free meals. I take it back on that plane. That's what I did.
Now, you talk about suffering such a loss at a young age, and for some people, that would have been the moment that they might have just stopped in their tracks. When you got back, think back when you got back to UCLA, what kept you going? Because that's overcoming a major obstacle. And then to go to the point where you are from basketball to track, it's a testimony.
Well, what kept me going was that it wasn't an option for me to give up. And I think just the goals that, you know, I shared with my mom, and, you know, because my mom she really didn't understand what I was doing athletically. She didn't. She was like, you're going to get a job, you're going to go to school, you know. We would go to the grocery store together, and the clerk would say, oh, I read about you. I'm like, what did you do newspaper for? I'm like, no, I had a competition, I did well, you know. So, and when I would talk to her about, I want to go to the Olympics, she's like, yeah, okay, I'll catch the bus and come see you. So she had no clue. So, but once it happened, and, you know, she wasn't there, it was just, you know, you just stay focused, you know. I lost my train of thought.
But you actually went to college on a basketball scholarship, not track and field. In this day and age, do you think it's still possible for female athletes to be standout two-sport athletes in college? Or do they have to specialize and pick one?
Oh, no. I think it's possible. Not only be standout in two sports, but I think that female should be in decision-making positions, all those opportunities that we should really do. You know, given the opportunity that it's possible, because even with me in college, it was mainly about time management, prioritizing, and, you know, and sacrificing. And so I think that it's possible.
You go from UCLA to the Olympics. 6 Olympic medals, including 3 golds. What was the greatest lesson learned from your collective Olympic experience?
The greatest lesson learned from the collective experience was not to second guess myself and believe in myself first, and allow my coaches to coach me to the goals that I had set for myself. And in '84, my first Olympic Games, I had an injury, but the injury wasn't as bad as mentally I made it out to be. And when my physical therapist and my coaches told me I was ready, I'm like doubting everything they're saying because my leg is black and blue and I got a bandage on my leg. I'm like, I ain't never been injured before, so that means something gotta be wrong. So when I go to the start blocks, you know, I didn't go thinking like a champion. I was looking for a pain that was never there. And throughout the 2-day competition, I didn't replenish my fluids. I didn't eat in between the events. All I kept searching for a pain that never came. And the only time that pain came is when I ran the 800 meters and they told me I was silver medalist instead of gold medalist. But, so I can honestly say that it was my dream, you know, at 14, my coaches said I had the potential. And they saw something in me that I didn't know I had. And I wanted to go to the Olympics, and they said I had to be willing to work hard. I had my first shot at it, and I second guessed, and I doubted. And I remember when I think I was 12, and a gentleman said to me, "Win, you can win." I didn't quite understand or understood what that meant until in 1984. You know, so I left those Olympic Games saying, God bless me to make another Olympic team. I want to be the toughest athlete out there mentally. Because physically, I know I can do it. But mentally, I got to get it together.
That's amazing. Now, you talk about people looking at you and seeing your gifts and your talents. It sounds like you had some mentor figures in your life. How important is that, particularly for our young girls, to have that, to somebody help them build that confidence and knowing that they can do what they were put on this earth to do?
Yeah, I think it's very important. A lot of times, we, as you know, young people, I'm not young now, but you know, we take sometimes the people that's the closest to us for granted, and sometimes our best mentors are the people right in front of us. It could be our mom, our grandmother, our aunt, our sister, and yes, I mean there are other people out there in the world that are doing great things too, but a lot of times the people who really care about you are not going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth might hurt, because in reality, that's what you need to hear, so you won't lose focus on the things that you want to accomplish out of life. So I do feel that it's important, you know, for role models, you know, even with myself, regardless if I like it or not. I know there's someone out there listening to me, so I really, really, you know, strive, you know, to be a great messenger. And the message that I deliver is always positive. And I always try to find the good in everyone, and always try to find a way to uplift someone, you know, and I think we all can do that.
Your greatest adversary wasn't necessarily Germany's Heike Dressler. You dealt with a common opponent and hurdle all your life in asthma. How did you cope? How did you manage? And how did you excel with that ailment?
Oh, it was tough. Oh, and you're right, because I put asthma right with the Russians and the Germans. Because there were times when I looked like a world-class athlete, and there's times I looked like I shouldn't even be out there. And that was because I was living in denial. I didn't want to accept the fact that I am an asthmatic. Even today, I'm no longer competing. I still have to stay on my medication and do the things to keep my asthma under control. But it came to a point where I had to stop living in denial because there were days when, you know, like Mondays, we would have a mile time trial. And I would run really well. Then the next day, I couldn't even run 200 meters. You know, and I was like, oh, I'm out of shape. And they're like, you're not out of shape. You know, you got an asthmatic condition. You know, so I had to really, in order for me to respect asthma, because I would run and I would perform and I would do well, but on the inside, I knew that it was getting the best of me. But most people that was watching me, they're like, oh, Jackie, she's doing it. But they just don't know I was battling all the time. And my biggest fear was like, Lord, please don't let me have no attack running 800 meters. You know, all kind of things would go through my mind. So, yes, I made it one of my opponents, and I was like, you're not going to beat me. So I'm going to get my asthma under control so you can't control me, because right now, it was beating me. And I did not want no German, no Russian, or anyone else in the world to beat me. And that's where asthma was right there, right along with them. enemy.
Making her have flashbacks. Now, do we have any female athletes in the room? Can we raise your hands? What would you say are the top 3 keys that female athletes need to be successful, whether they do it and excel in college, or maybe they just do it in high school? What would you say to them as ladies, as our future women, our future, somebody in here might go to the Olympics, okay, let's name it and claim it. What are 3 keys that you would give them for success?
I would say 1, always be coachable, be willing to listen, and always work ethic. You gotta work hard. There's no substitute for it.
You know, we see it in the Olympics, you see the glamour of the sprints, the 100, the 200, the relays, but you have tackling. To have, what discipline did it take to excel in 5 events to become a gold medalist and a world record holder?
When I was younger, we didn't know what the multi-events were. Our coaches just, you know, you young athletes out there, they just throw us in the event. You're gonna go do it, you know. And I didn't know how to hurdle, and I didn't hurdle in high school or even age group. I only would do it during the Junior Olympics. So it took me a while to learn how to 3 steps, you know, because I do 5 steps or whatever. But eventually, once you learn that 3 step, it just comes, and it's like, wow, you know, it's like, oh, I could have been doing this all along. But, and so doing all the events, I think that for me, I know, and I may be put on the spot, but Alexa, that's here, stand up, please. Great multi-eventer, and, okay, I'm gonna keep you standing, but thank you. But no, she's from the area, and the reason I asked her to stand up, and there might be more, but I communicate with Alexa, and that there's a lot of young ladies that want to do the 100, the 200, the 400. They don't really want to do the 400, but but if they do, sprints, jumps, and I believe for us when I say, because I'm on the USA Track and Field board, and when I look at our sport, and you look at it from a world eye view or a global view, is that our next medals are going to come from the multi-events as well as women triple jump, because we live in a nation that is blessed with so much talent, and I cannot believe that we can't find one young lady that can make the A standard to represent us on the Olympic level. So that means that we do not get medals in the triple jump, and we really suffer. I won't know suffer is too strong of a word, but we really not consistent in the multis. And so for any young girl out there, I love that you love the sprints, and I love that you put multi-events. Tell me, you can run the 100, you can run the 200, you can do the hurdles, you learn how to high jump, you learn how to long jump. The multi-events keep you humble. At one time they have you on cloud 9 and knock you back down to reality. But I just think that it takes, I'm biased, it takes a special person to want to do the multi-events, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And Alexa is certainly special. Her skill and her talent has earned her a scholarship to the University of Texas.
I know.
Now, with the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation, what are you most proud of?
What I'm most proud of is the young people that have come through those doors and gone on and being very successful, and to have a building where young people and families can come and feel safe, and that,
That's good. Okay, now this question is kind of a selfish question, so bear with me. One thing I've always admired about female athletes, not only your discipline to be strong, but the physique, keeping all that up, and the diet and everything. Can you give some secrets on that, please? I told you it was a selfish question.
Well, I believe in being fit for life, and I don't get to work out as much as I would like, but I don't want to work out at the level I used to work out at either. So I asked my husband for a workout. He get ridiculous, He wanted to give me like 600, and I'm like, oh no, I want to run 50 meters. I don't want to run 600. But what I do now is that I try to, if I'm going to walk, I do a lot of walking, and walk, a mile under an hour. And if the weather's bad, I'm on the treadmill at, 4.0 or 4.5, and walking at 15 minutes. And, try to get 4 miles in and do my drills, weightlifting. And if I can't do weightlifting, then I find different things to do, like in a hotel room, or squats or crunches, planks. If I'm watching a show in an hour, I can get a good workout in, so.
You plank the whole time?
Yeah, but it's like interval. So you might do a minute off. No, can you do a minute, then 45 seconds, then 30 seconds, 15, that's 1 set, and you go back and do it again.
But don't you think strong bodies for females, for me, I don't think it's necessarily about what's on the scale, but having a strong, fit body and healthy eating that helps build esteem, whether you're an athlete or not.
Yes, and I think it starts with the mind. Mentally, you're strong, and the toughest part is just starting and doing something. You don't have to start off, doing an hour. You can just start with 5 minutes, and then you build that 5 minutes up to 10 minutes. But it's doing something, and I do feel that, we live in a society that's very judgmental, and it's unfortunate because one of the things when I work with our young girls is it really, it really stress on them, it's not the superficial look. And even though we live in a society that really promotes that, but still it's being true to who they are and know that there's a beauty on the inside and let that beauty come out, because that artificial, superficial beauty, it's good, but it's fading.
But what I want to know is, where are the Olympic medals?
Oh, they're at my aunt's house.
Grandma John's house.
Yes.
Well, how did you go from having Bob Kersee, the coach, to Bob Kersee, the man in my life, to become my husband, to you becoming Jackie Joyner-Kersee?
Oh, it's in the book.
No.
Well, Bobby and I, we spent a lot of time together, and we are great friends, and it just went from him coaching me to us having a relationship. But as a part of it, we said that if we're going to take it to that next level, we had to remain friends. And that I had to really, really, both ways, respect him as my coach and him respect me, and because a lot of times, like in training, your friends, because I train with some of the best athletes in the world, man. And Bobby's a very demanding person and coach. And a lot of times, if I wasn't doing what he was asking me to do on the field, and then if he was getting on me, my friends would see the husband, like yelling at Jackie. And I'm like, well, then when you got your arm at 90 degrees, why is it okay he yelling too? So, don't confuse the two. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and then we go home, it's, he's supposed to take the trash out, and he I doesn't cook well, so it wasn't, so we had great. So it worked well.
You spoke earlier about being fit for life, and it comes after the fact that the Eastern Bloc female athletes test positive for steroids and performance-enhancing drugs. How were you able to excel, but do it pure without the help of drugs?
Yeah. Like I said, there's no substitute for hard work. And even, throughout my career, there were speculation about me and all of us. But you know what? You live with it and you keep doing what you're doing. You keep working hard. You keep getting out there performing well. And really, I couldn't really focus on what they were doing, but really just making sure that I was ready. Because Heike Drexler, I don't know if she did drugs or not, but she was one person that I knew when I stepped on the track that I had to be ready to go. And a tough competitor, but there is no substitute for hard work. There's no pill, there's no nothing. You gotta get out there, you gotta do the work. And I think when you do the work, the results that you're looking for, they might not come when you want them to, but they're gonna come.
Well, we now are going to open the floor to you all, and there's a microphone here in the aisle, and we'd love for you to ask any questions you have for Jackie.
Folks, come on up and queue up to the mic so we can hear your questions. One comment I'm going to make before we start, I neglected in my earlier comments to recognize this event would not be possible without the help of the Palestine Prowlers track team. Thank you for coming out and supporting the parents, sponsors, and coaches for helping us out and having Ms. Joyner-Kersee here. So we welcome your questions. Please come up here. We'll take a few questions and then we'll have a few things to end with. So, sir, tell us where you're from and your name, where you're from.
Chester Brock, Kansas City Central High School.
Yeah!
We played Lincoln East Boogies in 1977. My question, yesterday the National Labor Board had given college athletes, the right to unionize. What are your thoughts?
I was shocked. I think that I just don't want it to hurt women's sports. I don't want us to be forgotten in the conversation, or if it's going to be progress, if they're going to move, they are definitely going to move forward, but NC2A is appealing it, but still, in the long run, that, I don't know women, because a lot of times we will suffer. And I'm not trying to say that it's not a good thing, it's just making sure that it's inclusive of women, whatever they're going to do.
Hi, Jack. I'm Michael from Olathe, Kansas. You mentioned your workouts briefly. I was wondering if you could maybe take us through maybe a day or a week, what you actually did for your workouts when you were training for the Olympics, how intense it really was.
Oh, yeah, I was getting my workout now. When I was training for the Olympics, a lot of my training was based around my competition schedule. What I mean by that is that most of the time I'd be on the track, and my first event is at 9 o'clock, then I'm on the track at 7 o'clock, and last event might not be till 9 o'clock that night, especially with an Olympic schedule. So then when I would train, we would really focus on my weaker events, put more emphasis on those events, because if someone was going to beat me, they were going to beat me in those events that might give me problems. And the key event for me was the high jump, that I had to really make sure that I was ready to go 187 or 6 feet 1.5 each time out, so I wouldn't be too far behind. And then we would do a combination of, if I was sprint hurdles, then I would work on 400-meter hurdles, so I could get my 200-meter work in along with my speed endurance work and conditioning work. And then we have weightlifting, and then Friday would always be our hill day or stair day or breakdown day, or 16 200s at 32-second pace, depending on what we were working on. And then if we were competing on Saturday, then basically Saturday would be we'd just go into meets for conditioning. So then we would miss weightlifting on Friday, but then after Saturday competition, then we had to go in the weight room after we finish the meet. So Monday would usually be long distance day, with mile time trial, we have mile time trial every day, every Monday. And then whatever breakdown. And then this is mainly in the fall. Then once we get closer to like spring, January, February, started being more event specific. But everything was always working on the technique work, or so I was spending a lot more time with shot put for technical purpose. You spend a little time on it, but when you look at the point system, you know, I could throw 51 feet, but still the points are not going to be equivalent to what I would lose if I didn't execute a 6'1", 62 jump, a high jump. So.
Thank you very much.
Hi, this question is going to be kind of selfish. I don't mean to leave the guys out, but I'm a mom of three girl athletes, and they range from 10 to 15, and they can do jumps and hurdles. What would you, at this age that they're starting so early, and I have one that does do multis, and she started 2 years ago, and she's been successful and has medal, but she wants to go further. And you always hear about women not starting multis until, like you said, college. At this age, do you think that's like hard on their bodies? Like, what can you do to like keep them from getting injured? You can't prevent an injury, but to start now and hopefully go into college doing that, what insight can you give me to help them continue to guide them through that process, but don't let the multis tear them down, because she loves it.
Believe it or not, the multis are not going to be any harder on her body than doing any other event. You know, really, I did the multis when I was 12, 13, yes. But you don't, at that age, you really don't know what you're doing. So you're just really having fun, and you're learning the event as you go. And what ends up happening is that you'll find as you evolve and develop, then you might become better in one event, and then your mind shifts, oh, I just want to do that event. And believe it or not, that's when you were really making a breakthrough. So I think that it's good that, you know, they stay with the multi-events, because when you look at the competition, unless they have changed, they're not doing multi-events every weekend. But if your daughters are talented and gifted, then they're going to be doing 3 or 4 events, because them coaches are going to have them in everything. So it's just that not in a multi-event setting, but they are doing multi-events. So I think that it's good to keep encouraging them, and be positive, you know. Don't put that burnout in our kids. I mean, I hear kids that are very young, I'm like, burnout, what is burnout? And somebody else telling you that. You know, they should be out there just having fun and enjoying it. And, you know, every day not gonna be good. That's what practice was the hardest thing I had to do. And I had more fun when I went to the competition, because you got one shot at it. And practice is gonna be repeat. And you get bored with it, but you gotta do it. So you can just execute that one shot when you have that opportunity.
Hi there. I'm Todd from Topeka, and a lot of us here probably have some interest in the Negro League Baseball Museum aspect. And it was mentioned earlier there were 3 women that participated in the Negro Leagues, kind of a little before your time, so you probably don't have any idea of remembering that. But how can you look back on that kind of history? It's the women who were really limited in their opportunities professionally, and obviously as far as college scholarships at that time, to step out in the field with men and participate and compete. Can you comment on that, the significance of that, and also just what those women might have gone through to do that?
You know, when we were going through the museum today, and Bob was telling us about sharing the stories, and, you know, I think it's so important that for, you know, people like myself and my generation, you know, to have an appreciation for the women who have come before us, and the 3 young women who, I mean, I wasn't aware of, and is, you know, untold stories that, you know, get those stories told so people can understand. Because one thing what I find when it comes to male athletes and female athletes, if you're good, you're good. People embrace you, you know, and they embrace you. But I do feel that there is a place for women's sports as well as men's sports, and the women who, came way before me. I truly admire Wilma Rudolph for her to be greatest, to me, sprinter of all time, and to have polio and to overcome that, and then to go and win 3 gold medals, but then she couldn't go back into her own hometown and eat at the counter because of the color of her skin. So there's just, there's a lot that I would never take for granted. That's why I stress I'm a realist and I keep things in perspective. And, there's far greater battles than the battle of just athletes competing or beating each other a tenth of a second.
Hi, I wanted to know how long do you practice? Like when you go to practice?
How long I practiced when I would go to practice? When I was your age, you know what? We loved being out there so long, we didn't know how long we were out there. When I got older, we started realizing we are here a long time. So, when you go out there and you have fun, and you do everything they ask you to do. But you gotta eat right, you gotta get a lot of rest, and you also have to study. So you gotta have balance. So if sports is something that you really wanna do, the time doesn't matter. You'll find a way to be able to do it. Because if you're not doing well in school, your mom and dad gonna pull you out of it. So you gotta have that balance, and then you gotta make sure you're eating right, and you gotta get your rest. And if you got a little phone or a little tablet, don't put it under the bed. When it's time to go to sleep, you gotta go to sleep. You can't be on it. Okay?
Hi, my name is Kennedy Bryant from Kansas City, Missouri. And you mentioned about the mental battle that you kind of had, and I kind of tend to have that myself. How did you not psych yourself out before you run and not mentally beat yourself before you even race the race yourself?
I visualize a lot. I visualize myself executing the things I wanted to do. A lot of times if I was going to have a mental block, it only happened if I didn't train properly. So if I was supposed to be out doing my mileage, and then I got to go run the 800, then I already know, man, it's gonna hurt, because I haven't done what I didn't do what I was supposed to do in practice. So, and then also feed myself positive thoughts, and making sure that I kept positive people around me. I don't want someone, oh, you can't do this, older coaches doing that, you gotta get away from, because that really zaps your energy, and that makes you exhausted. And then butterflies, when I compete, I had butterflies. I love that because that forced me to focus on what I need to do, how I'm going to execute. But don't let the anxiety get the best of you, and we are looking for you like, where you go? So don't run away, don't leave us hanging. So learn how to maintain it and control it, okay?
Hi, my name is Nevada. I'm from Independence, Missouri. I got a 2-part question. Is that okay? Was 2 different questions. One, I graduated in '87, and back then I was a multi-sport athlete in track. I did the 110 hurdles, the 330, triple jump, long jump. I did it all. And we didn't have all the distractions being cell phone and video games, and it was fun and enjoyable for us. For the young children nowadays, or the young teenagers and stuff that are in sports, what advice would you give them to keep themselves focused with all the distractions, video games, friends, phones, and all of the other things?
I was just talking to someone about the cell phones. There's no place for them on the track. I mean, you got a locker room, put it in the locker room, put it in your bag, or, I understand you might have to call your parents or something, but to be getting a call in the middle of practice, that's a part of discipline. And that some of these things you have to take away. I don't want to hear, like you said, well, what music did you listen to? I was like, I didn't listen to no music. You know, I don't need nothing to get me up. If I'm going to the meeting, I know I'm ready to go. I'm ready. You know, they gotta calm me down. So I don't need no, you know, headphones or something to get me ready. So I think that how people train, and if you prepare and train that way, then you can't expect nothing else when you go to a competition. So if they got the cell phones in practice, then they think they should have their cell phone in the meeting. So, and also are giving our kids don't go outside and play anymore. And they don't realize, you know, when you're on the playground, you develop your survival skills, you develop your creativity. And all those things are being taken away because, I mean, I don't have no problem with it. They developing, they trying to be the next Bill Gates, and now that's okay. Now, but just to have sitting around on the computer, or you never hear so many kids, it's too hot outside. I mean, come on.
This one may be kind of emotional for you. I know you talked about you being asthmatic. And I remember when your sister-in-law, Flojo, passed away suddenly. Is that when you really started taking your condition more seriously?
No, I took it, Florence passed away in 1998, and I had to get my asthma under control way before then because, you know, it's a scary feeling when you can't breathe. And I never had an asthma attack before, and then when I had one, I realized that this is no laughing matter. You know, that I had to really stop living in denial and really get my asthma under control because, you know, I'm being rushed to the hospital and I'm telling my, you know, pulmonologist that I'm, you know, no, I'm taking my medicine. Then they take my blood test, like, you have a medicine in your system. So, you know, so I had to really, you know, take it seriously and know, because it took a doctor to tell me I could die. And then that's when I realized I ain't gonna be playing around with this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for your contributions. I want to say, I want to thank CB with Palestine Track Club. I have two children to run for Palestine. One now is at Texas A&M running track, and the other one, he was just the entrepreneur. He would go get the treats and make money. But anyway, so what you said about being young and enjoying track is very important because CB knows I wasn't that parent that was like, go have fun. I was kind of pretty hard, and he would always remind me, they're kids. This will make their kids. They're supposed to enjoy it at this age because they got other times too. But they needed to still do what they need to do, but sometimes us as parents we get a little bit too hard. But anyway, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I ran from Beaumont High School, Beaumont Track, and we had, you know, Sumner and Beaumont was state, you know, representatives back in 74, 78. And I remember we went to East St. Louis, ran against you guys one time, and we were like, who were they? We thought we were good. And it was an eye-opener, so I'll never forget that. So that's all. Thank you. Oh, and I don't know if you already mentioned, but another thing that was an eye-opener is East St. Louis. The building you put there, and the way the neighborhood was, where the kids really just had concrete buildings, and to put a facility like that for them to be able to go somewhere, it was just amazing. Because if you ever seen East St. Louis, like I've seen East St. Louis, you know what a contribution it was to that area. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lauren Smith. I would like to ask you, like when you went to the Olympics, how you say you were hurt, and how did you get over the fact that you were hurt and just go out there and run?
I got over, first of all, I had to acknowledge that I was injured. And even when I went into the press room, I didn't allow the media to make excuses for me. So I realized that, yes, I had an injury, but it wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. Psychologically, I got to get that together. And that through training, and if I had a little nagging, shin splints or whatever, I didn't act like the world was coming to an end. It was like, no, I'm gonna be okay. You know, you're gonna go, you guys might go to trainers or whatever, you know, it's gonna work out. So, and I had to really respond that way and believe that. And it helped me, you know, to get through hard times.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, my name is Dorisha, and I'm from Kansas City, and I go to Bishop Edge. And I would like to know how you coped with your injury, as well as continue to have a strong mindset.
Again, I would positive thinking, and I believe in writing in the journal. So I would write what's going on, and then also after a week, we go back and reread what I had written. And so, but the hardest thing is, you know, say, oh, I'm gonna be positive. You gotta really, really believe you're gonna tell yourself positive thoughts and that everything's gonna work out. And you have to really believe in your coaches. You know, if the coaches say, I want you to take a day off, then you gotta take a day off, you know, because that day off can save you from being off 6 to 8 weeks. And go see a trainer or go see your doctor or whoever it may be. But know that it's gonna take time and your coach is gonna get you back on the right path. So you gotta buy in to what your coaches are saying. And you and your coaches, y'all, and you know, parents, y'all gotta be on the same page. Coach can't be saying you're gonna be ready in a week, and then you go home and your parents say, no, I don't want you to run no more. And then you're torn. So it's important that you all be on the same page. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Shanti. I go to Grandview High School, and I run for Palisade Palace. And I've been running since I was 6. Me and my older brother, Dante, we were both running for a long time. And just recently, last year, he decided to do the decathlon. And I remember when he was little, he would do multi-events like the triathlon and the pentathlon. And he's in college now, he's a freshman in college. And I know he works really hard, and both being Hutton kids, we get really down on ourselves when we don't find success in every meet, every practice. Sometimes we would both get so mad that we would actually go practice again after practice because we didn't feel like we put in enough work. And I was just wanting to know, how do you have the courage to go out there, even though some of your best events, maybe for long jump for you, and Dante would long jump for him. He's not jumping well right now, but that's one of his better events. How do you find the courage to keep pushing in that event, to keep working, even though you're not performing as well as you thought you should be?
You know, the key is in the multi-events, and I was told this because I loved in the long jump, but they have tap is the makeup of 7, not 1. That's why it's called the multi-events, and that you can't get down on yourself because then you lose focus or lose that energy to go into the next event. Because that's what happened to me in '84. Even though the first 4 events, I got my leg bandaged, I'm injured, but the next morning was time to long jump, I didn't care. I was ready to long jump. But then I had 2 fouls. And then I ended up not jumping my best. I ended up jumping 20 feet 8. And at that time I was a 22-footer. So then now my world is coming to an end. And then my coach came jumping out the stands and he said, the heptathlon line is 7 events, not 1. So you need to get it together, focus on the javelin, and get ready for the 800. So what I'm saying is that your brother doing the multi-events, yes, he loved the long jump, but he gotta love them all just as equally. Because what will happen, you focus so much, put so much energy into the one you love, and then the others will start suffering because they get jealous. It's just like your legs. You know, when you pull one leg, you just can't work on the leg that's hurt. You gotta work on both of them because the other leg gonna get jealous because it ain't being touched. You know, so you gotta remember that even though you want to do good in your favorite event, but you gotta treat them and train equally for them all. And you know, and then don't, if your coach didn't tell you go do some extra work, then don't go do some extra work, because that's how you get injured. Because all of a sudden they come Monday and you wonder why you're sore, because you're out there doing something you weren't supposed to do, because you in your mind didn't think you performed to the ability you wanted to perform. That's why it's called coach athlete. Coach asks you to do certain things. They're looking for certain things in a competition. You might not run the fastest time, but if we're working on cadency or working on arm in the right position and you did that, then I'm happy as a coach. Now you mad because you didn't run the time. The time doesn't mean anything, because now we ain't trying to be fast in February. I want you to be fast come May, June, when it counts. So, and keep talking to your brother. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Patty Hutton. I'm one of the coaches with Palestine. You spoke earlier about one of the keys being coachable. Can you talk to the athletes a little bit more about what exactly that means so they understand when somebody says you need to be coachable? What are you talking about?
Yes. When I say be coachable, you have a coach, and the coachable part is you. The coach gonna ask you to do certain things, and then you, as the athlete, gotta do what the coach is asking you to do. You don't turn around and turn your nose up and say, oh, I don't think I'm gonna do that. Oh, I don't wanna do, oh, that's too hard. Oh, why are we doing this? You know, why are we out here? Oh, can you believe the coach asked us? Now that's called not being coachable. So the flip side of that is when you, the coach asks, I need you to line up and we got 5 400s. I don't want to hear, oh, that's hard. Okay, coach, I'm ready. I'm listening, being positive, I'm ready to go. Same way is when you're in the classroom. When the teacher tells you you got homework, you got things you got to do, or you're going to have a pop quiz, you're not going to say, oh, I'm not ready. So to be ready, you're going to go home, you're going to study, you're going to read. That means you're going to be teachable. You're going to let that coach teach you. And then if you got a problem, same with the coach and with the teacher. That does not mean that the coach and the teacher don't like you. So then don't go home saying that the coach don't like me and the teacher don't like me because I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. So all that's
Hi, I'm Emily. My question is, after your first Olympic Games, why did you continue?
Good question. When you, Emily?
Yeah.
I had a goal, and one of my goals was to go to the Olympics. And I went to the Olympics, and I didn't perform like I thought I should have, because I second-guessed my coach. When my coach told me I was ready, I did not believe them. And so I prayed, and I said to God, if I can make another Olympic team, I want to be the toughest athlete out there mentally. So the reason I went to another Olympic Games is because I wasn't satisfied with the first one. Okay.
Hi,
Where's your partner?
Hi, my name is Essence Kendall, and I was wondering, what was your diet? Was it hard for you to stay away from sweets and stuff like that?
Oh, really great question. What was my diet? I was not good. I used to eat a lot of junk food. Ooh. That's why you write in the journal, write in a little notebook, you had to write everything that I was doing, and I was just eating a lot of Snickers. I was just eating junk food. And then I had solid food at home. Young people don't do this. I should be telling y'all this. I give my food to my dog, and I got in trouble, So I had to realize that my dad would say, you're gonna be strong. You gotta eat your food, you gotta eat your vegetables, you gotta eat your fruit, you gotta eat this, and oh. But I realized he was right, because I'm telling you, balanced meals, it's okay, you know, to do things in moderation, you know, junk food, but not too much of it, you know, because even when I was your age, potato chip problems, and at my age now, still potato chip problems. So I have to constantly work on it. But you have to find a balance though, because when you don't eat right, you're moody, you're irritable, you got an attitude, you know, so you gotta find balance in the food that you put in your body, especially when you're gonna be out there trying to do exercising and, you know, you gotta get up, you gotta go to school. You know, a lot of times your after school activities happen 8 hours down the road. Okay? So you eat a lot of junk food.
I'm only 9 years old.
Say what?
I'm only 9 years old. I can't eat all that.
Only 9, that don't mean anything. Tell me what you're eating. Oh. Come on, 9-year-old. Come on, what we?
I eat fruit at school, and like I eat a lot of meat and like some candy.
Some candy. What kind? 9 Lay's, Jolly Rancher, what you eat? What kind of candy?
Like all.
All right, 9-year-old, I got you. Okay, that's all right.
Hi, my name is Darian Malone. I go to Raytown High School. I'm competitive in soccer and basketball, and one day I wanted to be on the women's national USA soccer team. And I recently just tore my ACL. What would you say to keep me going? And yeah, I don't know.
I would say keep that positive thought, you know, that smile, keep working hard, get in there, you know, that physical therapy work, get them quads strong, and just keep doing the work and keep working at it. Because you're young, you know, and injuries happen, but don't get down on yourself. Some days are going to be good and some days are not going to be good. But remember what the big picture looks like. The national team is where you want to get to. Then you put the little pieces together to get there. And just take it one day at a time. You know, and don't bite off too much. And one day you're going to be sore, you know, or getting it back 90 degrees or whatever, what your physical therapist is working with you on. Just know that it's going to pay off for you. But stick with it. You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Cameron Malone. I go to North City High School, and I started track when I was like really young, and I took a break when I was 12 for a couple of years. And like
How old are you?
I'm 15,
Okay.
and now I'm getting back into it, and like I feel like I'm behind. Like, what do I do to get on the next level?
You're not behind. You know what event?
I do 200 and a 1 and a relay.
Okay.
And a 400.
So what you gotta do is just keep practicing. You're in high school right now. So you're in high school, and I think that could, you know, you see what you do this high school year, but summer track always help. Don't take a summer vacation. Find a summer track team and work with a summer track team, and that would help speed it up, you know. But
I work for Kansas City Elite Competition.
you run who?
Kansas City Elite Competition.
Oh, that's right, the elite and the other one. I don't care where it is. I want you to keep working out, stick with it. Don't be taking a summer vacation. Summer vacation, you might not be traveling anywhere, you just be at home. You just don't feel like being out there because it's too hot. It can never be too hot, okay? So stick with it, especially during the 200, the 400, and the relays. Got a lot of work. Good luck.
My name is Tasia Thomas, and I go to Lincoln Prep. I was wondering, how do you like manage your time, like when you were in school, like manage to do homework after track meets? Because usually when I get home, I'm gonna go to sleep.
That's where the discipline comes in. is that you gotta prioritize, you gotta sacrifice. And since you're in a prep school, I'm sure there's, like when we were in school, there were times when we just go to the auditorium, and at that time, that's when I would try to do my homework, some of the homework that's been assigned to me. But then, you gotta really, find a balance, because you can't be going to sleep and not doing your homework. There's no option for that, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because eventually then that means your parents will be pulling you out of the sport. So if you love the sport, then you're gonna find a way to balance it. Okay?
And then, like, when I run, sometimes I get really nervous and I forget to eat. Like during track meet, just because I'm nervous. How do you remember, like, you need to replenish, like, you need to...
You gotta find what works for you, and that happens in practice. Finding different snacks or foods that could work for you so it doesn't upset your stomach when you go to a meet. So whatever that anxiety is that's causing you to have an elevation when you go to a competition, you gotta find that same type of elevation in practice. So practice can never be too comfortable to the point where you're just coming out here. You gotta take practice very seriously and figure out, what you need to eat, and you gotta eat. It's not good not to. I did that myself, and it wasn't good for me, because what's going to end up happening, the tissues and everything will start breaking down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Michaela Ross from Blue Springs, and I was just wondering how you cope with losing a race.
How did I cope with losing a race? When I first started running at the age of 9, I finished last in the 400 meters. And my goal was to improve a 1/10 of a second if I was running, or a 1/2 of an inch if I was jumping. And I saw myself improving, and I set goals, and when I was coming up, and I'm not sure if they still do it now, but, 4 through 8 got ribbons, and then 1, 2, 3 was on the podium. So I got tired of seeing everybody on the podium. I said, I want to get on the podium. So that's how I cope with it. It's like I got to work a little harder so I can stop looking up and be up. So you can do it. You're welcome.
Okay, folks, we've just got time for one more question as the hour is getting late, so we'll have one more question. I want to first thank you for being so, I know we have a lot of questions, but when our young people are brave enough to get up and talk, I appreciate you being candid with them and telling them the truth about things. So I encourage them to keep asking questions. I know there's a rich athletic tradition in this town, but we don't get Olympians here all the time. So I appreciate you taking those questions. We're going to have one more question, and then Mr. Kendrick is going to have just a few closing remarks and some presentations. So we'll take our last question.
Hi, my name's Delaney, and from Kansas City, and I play sports gymnastics, and I like track. Is it okay if people can play other sports and with the same sports when they help you?
She wants to know, a lot of coaches, she does competitive gymnastics right now. She's very good at it. We took a break last year for 6 weeks. She tried basketball, was very good at that. You hear coaches nowadays tell children at a very young age that they can't play other sports. And she wants to know if she's, if it's a good idea to run track and do some of the other things. She's very young. She's kindergarten, she's 6. She's already practicing ahead of her level now in gymnastics, but she wants to try track. But you hear coaches say, don't do that. I don't want you to play any other sports. So do you recommend that?
I definitely recommend you doing multi-sports. And you're the mom, be there, be supportive. Because a lot of times, coaches are selfish. They just want to keep you just for their sport. And it's not for the betterment of your child, it's just that they see something. But I think at a young age, kids should be versatile. Try it out, because you learn something from a team sport, an individual sport. You also learn something about yourself. And at her age, she's enjoying it. You got the time to be there with her, and I would encourage it, really.
My name is Cliff. I'm a track coach at Washington High School. Jackie, it was nice that you were a great athlete. I want to say now.
So, great athlete himself. Get out of here.
But now I want to say you are a national treasure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, and again, let's give it up for our hosts, Tanisha, and here's Mr. Kendrick with some gifts for our panel.
Well, first of all, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize a very special guest who's with us. She's the first ever female athletic director at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Ms. Carla Wilson. Who is here also in a very pioneering role of empowerment, and we appreciate your support in being here as well, and all of you. But how about another round of applause for Ms. Julie Jones, Ms. Felicia Williams, and of course, the great Jackie Joyner-Kersee. So what we have here for Felicia and Julie are, number one, a little Kansas City Monarch hat. It's baseball season, and our new Kansas City Monarch tee from Charlie Hustle, which is our new licensee. They're doing some outstanding stuff. You can get that. It's in our gift shop across the street at the Negro Leagues Museum. And this morning I had an opportunity, and also I want to make sure that I know Clarence CB is here. I know they've got a very special presentation. Where's CB? Ready to make the presentation? Okay. This morning I had the opportunity to walk Jackie through the museum. We had a great time this morning and just kind of talking the history. And I saw when she went in the shop this morning, she kind of peeped this little jacket. And so normally we do Monarch stuff in this town, but she saw this, and it's a New York Black Yankees jacket. And the Black Yankees, of course, they were the New York Yankees, and then the New York Black Yankees. And the New York Black Yankees were actually once partially owned by the great tap dancer, Bill Bojangles Robinson. And so, you can learn this information over at the Negro Leagues Museum. You got to see it. All that you can learn that when you come over to the museum. But Jackie, on behalf of our entire team, and I certainly want to thank our staff, Dr. Raymond Doswell, and the entire team at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. I also want to thank CB and the folks over the Palestine Flowers Track Club for partnering with us on this. But on behalf of our board of directors and the staff here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, it is my pleasure to present you with your New York Black Yankees jersey.
First of all, I want to say thank you for all the track teams that are represented in Kansas City. Sometimes some of us get caught up in our pride, but it's all about the kids. And one thing that I learned from Jackie's coach, which is Coach Benoit, he took me under his wing as a young 18-year-old coach. And I didn't know who he was. And later on, Coach Bing, which is a good friend of ours, like, Jackie's coach. And I was like, well, who is he? You know, because he was grooming me. And so when Bob said he wanted Jackie, I asked her to come for the track team. And Jackie is a very, very busy person. She's extremely busy to the point where I would text Jackie, I wouldn't hear from her in 2 days. She'd text me, I'm like, I'm at work, Jackie, I can't talk. You know what I mean? So I'll call you back. But anytime I'm with Jackie, she's always been gracious. I've been to the center this last year, and we had a good time. So since you come to Kansas City, and I know Coach Fenoy, I had to give you some Palestine Prowler gear to make sure that you wear this when you go out to East St. Louis, and you tell him we'll see him in gym and regions. And Jackie's still a Nike athlete, so I can't give her anything but Nike. Nice workout this year. Thank you so much.
And as CD said, we really do appreciate it. We understand how busy Jackie is, and for her to take time to come to Kansas City to do this for the Negro League Baseball Museum and for the Palestine Prowlers Track Club and for all of you means a great deal to us. So again, how about a great round of applause? Also want to remind you of some upcoming events here at the Negro League Baseball Museum tomorrow night. Right here on this very same stage, the legendary Kiko Matsui in concert right here at the Gym Theater. Proceeds benefit the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. On Sunday, we start a 2-day symposium on the legendary Curt Flood. Most of you probably don't know the name Curt Flood. You should. Curt Flood sacrificed his baseball career to challenge Major League Baseball's reserve clause, sued Major League Baseball because he felt like he had the right to play where he wanted to play and not where they wanted him to play. He took his case all the way to the Supreme Court, where he eventually lost his case. It opened the door for free agency in Major League Baseball today and other professional sports. So there are a lot of athletes making a lot of money because of the sacrifice of Curt Flood. Curt Flood was never the benefactor of his own sacrifice. As a matter of fact, he died basically penniless when it was all said and done. But as we talked this morning, sometimes when you stand in your conviction, you walk alone. And Curt Flood dared to walk alone for what he thought was right. He should be celebrated. Unfortunately, he's a footnote in baseball history, but the work that we're doing here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum will bring Curt Flood to light in ways that I think many of us probably don't know. And we're excited about that 2-day symposium. We open a new exhibition next month. Not next month, but in May. We hope you come out for that. And of course, the Hall of Game celebration next month, April 12th, right here in the Gym Theater, where we'll honor legendary Major League Baseball player Lou Brock from St. Louis. Great Lou Brock, Joe Morgan, Dave Winfield, and the late, great Roberto Clemente. And we will present the Jackie Robinson Lifetime Achievement Award to our dear friend, the great Jim Mudcat Grant. So we hope you will join us for that celebration. Thank you all again for coming out tonight. Please drive safely going home. Come back, support the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
This is Darren Smith with Sideline Sports Talk along with Steve Walls, and we are with the great Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Jackie, the first question I have for you is, you were named Sports Illustrated greatest female athlete of the 20th century. To this day, because you're still young,
Thank you.
how does that feel, and does it still resonate to this day?
You know what? It's a great honor. I keep things in perspective, and to me, it's just an acknowledgement of my hard work over the years, and I'm very proud of it, for real.
Now, in the heptathlon, besides the long jump, what was your favorite event?
Oh, wow. You took my favorite one out. I guess I go, since I can't say the long jump, the hurdles, or, hurdles probably, yes.
Talk about your foundation, the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation, as well as the Athletes for Hope, and talk about why you do that.
Well, you know, the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation, we have a center in my hometown of East St. Louis. I really want to get back in the community and, you know, show the young people that, you know, you can go away, but you can come back. And, you know, I had been doing foundation work since 1988, and then we built the center in 2000, and I always just wanted to help people because they helped me. And same thing with Athletes for Hope is introducing, you know, student athletes as well as athletes to philanthropy, knowing that you don't have to have a lot of money to give your time to just help someone.
Now, I've always wanted to ask this question. I know it's been 16 years since she passed away, but what was the relationship like with your sister-in-law, both on the track and off?
Well, you know, on the track, Florence was phenomenal, and even off the track, as you know, as friends and family. But I just think what Florence did for our sport transcended, made, you know, brought fashion in, and you know, and that was great. And then as a wife and a mother, you know, just a tremendous person.
Now, finally, as a black woman, how important is it for you to be a role model for young black women and young women in general, but also the history that you signify? You know, how important is it for young people to learn the history if they were to follow you in track?
You know what, I think that I understand being a role model, because regardless if I like it or not, but I love it. People are listening to me to be a positive messenger and to keep things in perspective. You know, I work with a lot of young people across the nation, you know, but it's always giving them my time, you know, helping and trying to motivate, inspire young people to be the best you can be.
Now, and I'd be remiss, and this will be the final question. Who do you see coming up now in track and field that you could see one day possibly, you know, being as great as you?
Oh, wow. I think there's a lot of young athletes out there. Alexa Harmon, that's from this area. I mean, great athlete. It's a lot of great ones out there, and I want to encourage more young girls to do the multi-events, you know. I love hurling. I love long jumping, but if they can do the multi-events and do it well.
You're pretty good at that javelin, too.
Thank you. I had my problem with that javelin, but I did what I had to do. But I just think that in our country, there's a lot of great multi-eventer athletes, and I want to encourage them more from the grassroots and keep them in it, because I think that we could win gold, silver, and bronze in that event.
Well, Jackie, on behalf of Central High School, as a Central High School graduate, Kansas City, and Sideline Sports Talk, we would like to thank you for your time and wish you the best of luck in everything you do.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. For Steve Walls, Leandra Harden, and Darren Smith, this is Sideline Sports Talk. Thank you for joining us this evening.